Hello, everyone, and welcome to this revival of the Fully Alive podcast. My name is Dr. Medina Gross, and I'm an executive well-being coach. And if you followed my podcast in the past, you know that I've always had a guest, and we had some amazing conversations. This time, what I want to do, we'll have some guests as well, but I'm also wanting to use this space to share some of the things that I've learned along the way. What do I do? Well, I exist to help conscious leaders be their best and feel their best. You see, I have always wanted this for myself because I want to be my best and feel my best. And yet I have put myself down a path where I was told I'm doing the right things, but it's not working. I burned out. I've been through several relationships. I have been through all of the mental, emotional, and physical symptoms of burnout all along the way in an effort to bring out the best in others. And at some point, there was a question of why isn't this working? And what I realized this wasn't working is because I wasn't willing to look at myself. I was just hoping that if I did the right things, said the right things, that I would get the right results, which meant that I never had to look at myself. I never had to consider who I was being as I was doing leadership, right? Some of this language starts to get messy. So just hang in there with me. So, but basically, I have always wanted to be my best and feel my best. And that in order to become this kind of leader, I had to learn how to bring out the best in myself. And in order to bring out the best in myself, I had to go internal. And this is where I needed a lot of courage, a lot of compassion for myself, and I needed the proper support because it was a difficult experience for me, as it is for a lot of us. And what I realized with that support, someone who could hold space, like, what does that mean? That means somebody is holding the belief that I was okay, even though I felt like I was crumbling and falling apart. I was being held. So no, you're okay. You are strong, right? And reminding me of things that they could believe in me in ways that I couldn't believe in myself. And I needed that. And I borrowed that belief until I could believe what they believed for me, for myself. And so when I first started going internal, I started to realize just how much I was stuck in survival mode. And being in survival mode because I was carrying and holding on to so much pain. And holding on to this pain made me see myself as a victim. And seeing myself as a victim made me feel defensive. Like I always had to be highly alert to any kind of slight or disregard, like anything that didn't feel good. I was highly defensive to all of that. But I didn't know that, right? I was doing the right things, but I was doing it in a very defensive manner. And so, again, I was grateful to have had the support that I had to keep me in that space until I could push through and be in that space for myself. So, what does all of this mean? And again, I love it that you're here, that you're with me for this because language doesn't exactly align with who it is that we want to be talking about. So it will be messy. So stay with me on this. So right now, let me give you a metaphor that I love as an expression of this whole experience of who we want to be and who we are. The movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. I don't know about you, it's been years since I've seen it, but I think we all can remember that he was on this island. He was in a plane crash. He got onto this island and he began to survive on this island. And he survived quite well, right? He found the systems to get the water and to get the food and for his shelter. He figured all of that out. He had Wilson. He even had companionship. And yet there was a time when he said, this isn't enough. Survival's not enough for me. anymore. But what else was there available to him? On that island, nothing. That was it. Survival was his option. If he wanted something more or different than survival, he had to go past the tide. He had to get past the tide and into the great unknown where there was nothing but possibilities. He had to do this for himself, right? No one was coming to rescue him off this island. He had to get himself off this island. And that is the challenge that we all face. We're all on an island. We're all on an island of pain and hurt. We're all there. We can all make the choice to move off of it. And I think that we do best when we do this together in community and with the proper guidance. So, what do you want for yourself? Are you satisfied with survival as you are now? When you ask yourself, am I being my best? Am I feeling my best? What answers come up for you? Are you like Tom, ready to push into the unknown, past that tide, past everything that you know, for a risk at a quality of life that you believe in? I hope that you subscribe to this channel, hit that bell so that you'll get notifications of future conversations. Conversations that I hope that you will contribute to, either by asking questions before the recording or show up at the recording. Tuesdays at 10 Central is going to be the time that I do this on a regular basis. So I hope to see you and hear from you, because applying this information that I'm going to share with you is the key to actually experiencing something different. Information is good. The magic happens in the implementation. So here's a couple of ideas that I want to share with you. I want you to noodle on as we move forward. Some understanding, some tenets. The first one is that we are all intrinsically motivated. That means that all of our behaviors are our best efforts to meet one or more of our basic needs. All of our behaviors are our best efforts to meet one or more of our basic needs. We don't just do things to do things. We do things because it may give us more, help us meet our needs more closely, or actually meet or exceed what it is that we want for ourselves. So it's internally motivated, which means that we can let go of these stories that we tell ourselves, right? That I would be happy if the markets were better. I would be happy if my partner would understand me. I would be happy if I had more time for myself. I would be happy if I didn't have so many responsibilities, right? Just think for yourself. What is your I'd be happy if story? Who is the person? What is the situation that you think needs to change in order for you to be happy? That's what it means to be externally motivated. We live like that, but that isn't actually how we operate, right? It looks like that. We talk like it is, but it isn't exactly how it works. So we're internally motivated. And again, what that means is that all of our behaviors are our best efforts to meet one or more of our basic needs. It's our best effort. I mean, it's the best that could be done, but it's the best that we can do. So I think that is so important to know for yourself, to give yourself grace and compassion. When you say, why am I not getting what I want? Why isn't this happening for me? Giving yourself grace and compassion, because everything you've done up until now is your best effort. And what that means is, with some new information, perhaps you have some new opportunities, new possibilities, which also means that everyone else around you is also doing the best they can. So just an opportunity to get the grace and compassion that we're going to give ourselves to also extend to one another. So we're intrinsically motivated. We're always doing the best we can. So how do we then tap into this internal power? Like where's power coming from? I think it's internal. And that internal power is always available to us, right? One of the things that when I first started in coaching, this whole concept of we're all whole, complete, and perfect, just as we are, I thought that was just the biggest can of bullshit that I'd ever been sold. But I get it now, right? We do have this side of us that is our defensive side, and most of us that's where we live our entire lives because we don't even know that there's another possibility. There is another possibility. And that's what I want to talk about in this podcast. And we're going to talk about the energy leadership model. This is a model that I learned through my coaching program. And then what it does for me is it helps me understand when I am seeing myself as a victim, what everything looks like, right? I can see a bigger version of that, not just that narrow, oh my God, this is happening to me perspective, right? I get to understand it and I get to choose if that's what I want to do. But I also get to see the possibilities on the other levels of energy. I'm going to talk about these like TV channels, right? Or turning a channel, because when you're on a channel, you see things from that channel's perspective. When you change the channel, everything changes with that. And so I'll show you the channels that you watch most often or that you perceive from most often. And I'm going to be able to show you other channels that you might want to explore, might want to experiment with. That's what this whole thing is about playing, about exploring, and about experimenting. Because in this survival mode, your defense system is saying, oh, this is it. This is that Tom Hanks. This is it. We've got survival figured out. Please don't rock the boat. Are you going to rock the boat and say, okay, this is the best I can do from here, but there are other possibilities. What else is possible for me? So we're going to build these frameworks so that we can understand ourselves, our experience. We can develop the self-awareness. We can give ourselves possibilities. And as we develop the self-awareness, we're also going to talk about the tools that we need to not only develop our self-awareness, but how do we come to accept what it is now that we're seeing, that we had overlooked in the past or tried to repress or suppress in the past. Now we're going to be looking at it. How do we do that? How do we do that in a way that feels safe? And finally, as I've mentioned several times today, and I'm going to mention several times as we continue these conversations, this is one of those things that only you can do for yourself. Only you can decide what survival is for you and when you're ready to move out of survival and into a thriving, creative perspectives. I mentioned earlier the Zesty Life Studio. This is a community off your normal channels. It is an online community where I offer weekly office hours, group coaching calls, guided meditations, and additional conversations about these topics so that you can understand yourself and your experience at a deeper level and then make choice, decide what is right for you. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey of a lifetime. I know that when you integrate these ideas and these practices, that you will tap into that internal, infinite source of power that is your source of limitless joy and energy. Don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the bell, share, comment. Let's keep